Hello and welcome to the post-race press conference for round 9 of the ABB FIE Formula E World Championship Season 10 and the 2024 Sun Mini Mill Berlin E Prix. Joining us on stage we have a race winner Nick Cassidy from Jaguar TCS Racing, Oliver Rowland from Nissan and Jon-Erik Vergne from DS Penske. Let's start with you, Nick. Another one in the bag, P10 to the win, is that right? P10?
Yeah, P9.
P9 to the win, which was P10. And I think you're in the championship lead now as well. Your intelligence in races like this, I'm actually going to call you the Prince of the Peloton. That's the new name I'm going to give you because you seem to just have something that makes you be able to perform and perform again in this style of racing. Can you give us your take on today's race?
I definitely wouldn't say that. You know, these two guys next to me are very good in these races as well. Today I got very lucky, very lucky, but you need that sometimes in Formula E especially. So, you know, we'll take it. An interesting one, started P9, didn't actually have a great start, wasn't that fast, but I think we played it smart and stayed out of trouble. Here we are.
How much of a race like that comes down to keeping out of trouble, like you said there, and how much of it is about hitting those targets or perhaps even more in-depth strategy?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I haven't experienced anything like today's Formula E race. It was insane at the back. I was 21st and it was carnage. It was insane. But yeah, there's an element of strategy and there's an element of luck, I think. And yeah, obviously you've got to stay out of trouble to make it work. But yeah, credit to my guys. I think they gave me a good overview of how the race could be and let me make some decisions. And they made some decisions for me too. So no, overall it was very good.
What would you say the percentage split was, strategy versus luck?
40-60.
Which favour?
I'll let you know. I'll let you work that one out.
Okay, well, let's say it's strategy, because I want to say it seems at least like another strategic masterclass from Jaguar. You know, we've got 2 wins for 2 now with the team after Monaco, 6th podium in 9 races for you. You're absolutely flying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here now. It's an amazing day. You know, fantastic moment, but I'm realistic. We haven't really been fast enough this weekend, I would say. I was a top Jaguar, but I'm 10th in qualifying, so it's not really good enough by our own standards. We've got a lot of work to do tonight. We need to be quicker. So let's see how tomorrow goes, and yeah, things can change very quickly.
Jev, moving on to you. Very well managed race today, P3 to P2, and you now have the record number of podiums at this circuit as well. It's 7, I believe, and your 2nd podium this season.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very good race. I'm generally never entirely happy except when I win, and today I have to say I'm not as happy as if I won, but I felt like a small victory because, I mean, yeah, of course, Nick won the race, but it was on a different strategy. I mean, when you are leading the race and when you're fighting, you cannot really, say, okay, I'm going to save a lot of energy for the rest of the race. So, I mean, well done to him and his team to have done that. I think they maximized the potential that they had, and it paid out. But it can as well very well go the other way. You have a safety car that lasts longer. Your target energy becomes higher. The race becomes impossible to overtake. So yeah, I have absolutely no regrets. That's why I feel like out of all the guys around me, we did a perfect race. So. Yeah, it's 2nd, it's still not the win, but yeah, we have a race tomorrow again. We had a good car, competitive today, good in qualifying, and I'm sure we can also be competitive tomorrow and hopefully fight for the win. We'll see.
Just to follow up on something you said there about the package, before we go back to the racing we just had, it's good back-to-back performances. It's good showcasing of performance both in qualifying but then also in the race, which is something that not every team can say. They have both going for them. You must feel that you're in a very competitive package now, and this is really about just getting more and more points, pushing for that title at least.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you want to have good qualifying and a strong race. Obviously, the race brings the points. So, it's true what Nick said, that probably they were not quick enough in quali, but as long as you can deliver in the race and bring the points, it really what matters. But yeah, I mean, we've done a good step forward from last year. Very good work done by the engineers over the winter, but we're still missing a bit to the Jags and sometimes to the Porsche, but it's the differences are marginal, and you need a bit of luck, to also put everything together, and a lot of consistency. So we may have lacked a bit of that so far this season. That's why we are in the championship. But the good thing is that there are many races left, and as you said, if with a good package and being consistent and being smart at every races, then we can do something good.
Starting with tomorrow, of course. I want to kind of get your perspective on that race in particular, because from a viewer's perspective, it was very dramatic. I'm keen to know what it's like behind the wheel, racing it, and how hard it is to stay at the front of the pack.
It's horrible. I mean, honestly, I really don't like this kind of racing. I hate it, and I think every driver hates it, but it's the way we have to race. And, we're here to compete, we're here to win, so if we have to drive in reverse, we're going to learn how to drive in reverse. But it doesn't mean that I like this kind of racing. It's truly horrible. I mean, from a driver point of view, I mean, it's, you're watching on the left, on the side, behind, above, below, and it's a mess.
Imagine very, very stressful. So let's talk about how that panned out then, because it looked like there was a bit of team strategy potentially going on with you and Stoffel doing quite well for a decent amount of the race. Obviously, Stoffel got caught up in the Degrassi spin. Was that the plan for the two of you to kind of rinse and repeat what you did in Monaco?
No, I don't think there was any plan, because what you do in Monaco cannot be done in other places, because technically in Monaco, if you really want to lose like 3-4 seconds in the lap without being overtaken, you can. In here, you cannot really do that. So we knew that that kind of strategy would not work. Obviously, we wanted the maximum amount of points for the race. And in some instances, if we could have helped one another, we would have done it. But we never got to that stage.
Oliver, moving on to yourself. Another massive climb today, this time from 15th to the podium. You've shown your skill now this season time and time again, and it's the mentality of never ruling anything out despite where you're starting the race, and you did that once again today.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, if you asked me before the race, my target was to score a couple of points, and that was about it. But, I quickly found myself in a decent position after a couple of laps, and then, my idea was to get quite close to the front and see if I could kind of stay in the mix, let's say. But, yeah, you're right. It's been quite a good run in terms of the races and the strategy. And I think, like what Jeff said, it's not super enjoyable, but it's something that seems to be a strength of mine. So I'm enjoying it a bit at the moment on that side. But yeah, no, I think we need to fix qualifying and make it a bit easier, because we had to consume a lot to get to the front. But yeah, if we can do that and have better pace on one lap, then yeah, no reason why we can't keep fighting in the race.
You seem to be extracting and utilizing it more consistently than anyone else driving it or using it. Why? What might you put that down to? Style of racing or?
Yeah, I think the style of racing obviously helps. It's tricky. I have quite a lot of experience, let's say, in this championship now. It's 6 years. So yeah, I think, honestly, the other guys put me under quite a lot of pressure over one lap. But it seems like we said that this type of racing is a bit of a strength of mine, and I can position myself well and manage the tires and the energy and everything to be in a good spot. So yeah, I think we need to work collectively to improve a bit and be more robust race to race. But yeah, I'm enjoying myself at Nissan, let's say.
One more question before we open it up to the room. How do you go about managing a race like that? What I mean by that is being aggressive enough to make up the positions, but not run the risk of completely taking yourself out of the race, like we saw with countless examples of today.
It's tricky. We were discussing this just before we were coming up, because I think if you take a cautious approach where you want to stay out of trouble, you get eaten alive. So at some point you have to switch mentality and risk a lot, sometimes be slightly overly aggressive, which is not always nice, but you have to kind of stamp your authority a bit on the race. But yeah, I think yeah, it's not super enjoyable to do like that, but it's what you got to do.
Chance for a few questions from the room.
Question to Nick. Nick, just watching that race from the outside, obviously from P21 to P1, and the margin that you won by, it almost looked like pre-planned from the start, like that was the template, that was the race you were always going to run. You don't make it sound that way. You don't make it sound like one of those, Talladega races where the favorite drops back and then at the end goes forward. How much did it change the approach to the race here? When did you end up in the race that you went for? How much of it was pre-planned? How much of it was improvisation?
Yeah, it wasn't pre-planned. At some point, obviously, I took it on myself to maybe go towards that style of race. I guess I don't know exactly when that was, but that more come from, I guess, watching what was happening around me. And yeah, it was like the Daytona 500 out there, you know. So it was, yeah, it was. Yeah, to be honest, it feels really weird to have won today. It's amazing. Team did a good job, but it almost wasn't enjoyable. It was crazy. There was carnage, and yeah, it's really hard to be jumping up in the moon right now because I'm a little bit with Jev. I wish it was a bit more on pace. I wish it was the balance was a bit better. But yeah, that's how it is.